My name is Joseph Ramirez, and I'm an employee at By the Hand Club for Kids. They call me Mr. Z.
Hi, my name is Shamika Taylor. I currently reside in West Englewood.
Josh Larson. I'm originally from Rockford, Illinois, but I live in Chicago now.
Eddie Wilson. I live in the Austin neighborhood.
What is this for?
I'm applying for a master's degree, and they told me to do a presentation regarding youth violence. I was like, hey, why not gather some friends and
Okay. My name's Kristen Blickert. I'm from Spokane, Washington State.
Ladarius Bill. I am from the By the Hand Englewood site.
My name is Rosalind Overton, and I am right now living in the South Englewood area of Chicago, Illinois.
Mackenzie Wilson. I go to Moody Bible Institute.
Sean Flynn. I am a Chicago resident and have been pretty much all my life.
Ledger Heron Jr. I was born in the city of Chicago, lived on the south side most of my life. Now I reside in the south suburb.
Like shooting guns, that's what I think of.
The destruction of a generation. I think about young lives, young futures being snuffed out and just eliminated, before they reach their full potential.
Specifically like kids in impoverished communities kind of turning to violence as an outlet due to kind of forces beyond their control. Sadness, madness. I grew up in the city, and Chicago, to me, is getting a bad rap. It's not bad as it looks on television. Chicago is a type of city that if you look for trouble, you'll find more than you look for. But if you don't look for it, you won't hardly see it. You see it on the news, but it'll be foreign to you.
So when I think about youth violence, I think about this segregated community, just the youth themselves, who have now identified and connected with violence, abuse, neglect, to themselves and one another specifically.
Actually just lost and lost opportunities. Kids who just don't know how to express what they're feeling in a more positive manner.
Fear. Because I have 3 sons, and it's very important to me why children out here feel that that's the outlet that they have to portray or run to.
So many things come to mind. Primarily, how do we stop it? What can we do to stop the violence among young people? What can we do to erase the rise of violence, particularly among young African Americans? Is the community that I'm mostly exposed to.
Systematic injustice and poverty and generations of people living their lives in injustice.
There's a range of reasons. You really have to live in the communities where the violence is most prevalent to really understand why the violence is going on the way it is. A lot of it has to do with the things that these children, these young people are exposed to that has infuriated them.
I think a couple of things. I think a breakdown in the family. I know that in the African American community growing up in the 70s, we talked a lot about the village. And so that village has kind of primarily disappeared. And I think that lack of opportunities, lack of resources, under education.
Some of it is conditioned behavior. Some of it is anger, I believe. And I also believe a lot of it stems from hurt.
I think it has to do with systematic injustice that has kind of been like the norm for communities of color for a couple hundred years in our country. And I think in the past, in the 20th century, you had a lot of gangs rise up, kind of with the purpose of people in these marginalized communities banding together and supporting one another and standing up under oppression. I put a lot of stock in the parents, and if a parent knows where their child is, can speak for where their child is going, that can keep a lot of trouble down. My mother and my father knew where I was almost 24 hours, 7 days a week.
One of the reasons I think there's youth violence is single parent homes and a lack of a father figure to teach the usually young men like how to act, how to be men, and just the appropriate way to act, and just like the lack of attachment figure there.
Typically, studies show that people that are abused or victims of abuse, 9 times out of 10 become abusers themselves. So when I think of youth violence, I guess in that regard, it makes me think of young people that have experienced some form of abuse or some sort of trauma in their life, and they grow up to project what has been put into them or what they've experienced.
No guidance. Like I said, it's definitely somewhere lacking where we all have that mentality that we are every man for theirself, instead of bringing back the old school that it takes a village to raise a child. Everybody's kind of singled off into their own territories, and it's no respect, it's no love. Love is number one, because with love it overcomes every obstacle. With love it overcomes any discrepancy that you and I may have. So without that, it's kind of like I'm your enemy.
When I grew up, there was curfew. The lights was your sign to go home. None of that is there in place anymore.
Well, I can take the young people by their hand, show them the value they have, show them that the way to fight that rage is to advance peace, show them that through the loving salvation of Jesus Christ, they can win the battle. They'll win more with love, because what repercussions or consequences can come from showing love?
A complete systematic overhaul of injustice.
Be hands-on. We have to be hands-on. We have to be more involved. We have to matter to each other. We have to let go of the stereotypes, the racism. We have to let go of all of it, because at the end of the day, what you do affects me, and what I do affect you. Regardless to what area or community we are all from, this is Chicago. This is one city. Therefore, what affects us up north affects everyone out south.
It's easier to talk about violence than it is to talk about how do we really make sure that kids are in high-performing schools. How do we make sure that as they are matriculating up, that they have opportunities to internships and to fellowships that then help them have a career outside of high school. And so I think we have to really address the social ills first and not the larger symptom of violence.
Prayer. We can pray for them.
Like a computer, young people need to be reprogrammed. They need to learn something else, a different way of being. Some other information needs to be input into them to offset maybe the negative information that they've learned or received at that point in their life.
Activities. Children need to be heard. They need to be integrated and interactive with things on the outside of just electronics.
We play softball, baseball, football. When was the last time you seen a kid in the street just playing football?
Help them find and discover the things that they're truly gifted at, and help them kind of channel that into like something constructive in their life. Make sure that people are speaking over these kids' high expectations and the potential that they have.
Just be involved with the children or just the youth in the community, and be present in the community, and just spend time with them and let them know you love them, and just interact with them on a day-to-day basis.
So I was asked to have a presentation for something about youth violence, and I figured, hey, it's a good thing. I like presenting stuff. Why not gather some friends, gather some students, let's collaborate, and let's make this fun.